हाय एवरीवन। क्या कभी तुमने सोचा है कि हमारे इस एनिमल डाइवर्सिटी में इतने वाइड रेंज ऑफ स्पेक्ट्रम में एनिमल्स कैसे प्रेजेंट हैं? लाइक इफ यू सी फ्रॉम लीथल कोमोडो ड्रैगन्स टू एब्सोल्युटली हार्मलेस कीवीज and in fact organisms with the same origin also show variations in a very different way. आखिर ये सब कैसे पॉसिबल है? सो इन सभी चीज़ों का आज हम लोग आंसर इस प्रेजेंटेशन में जानने वाले हैं। सो स्टे ट्यून विद अस।
Hey, welcome to our presentation of Iceland oddities. आज हम लोग इसमें डिस्कस करने वाले हैं insular evolution, pillars of insular evolution, adaptive radiation in finches, endemism in tortoise, Iceland gigantism in Komodo, and loss of trait in Kiwi. तो इंसुलर एवोल्यूशन से पहले हम लोग जान लेते हैं कि एवोल्यूशन क्या होता है। एवोल्यूशन इज बेसिकली चेंजेस दैट हैपन इन फ्लोरा एंड फौना ड्यू टू म्यूटेशन, नेचुरल सिलेक्शन, जीन फ्लो, जेनेटिक ड्रिफ्ट एंड वेरिएशन ओवर द टाइम। दिस इज कॉल्ड एवोल्यूशन। साधारण भाषा में बोले तो व्हेन एन ऑर्गेनिज्म अपने आप को चेंज करता है विद रिस्पेक्ट टू इट्स एनवायरनमेंट टू इंक्रीज इट्स चांसेस ऑफ सर्वाइवल थ्रू आउट द ईयर, इट पासेस थ्रू इनहेरिटेंस, इज बेसिकली एवोल्यूशन. But insular evolution is quite different. In insular evolution, a small group of individuals is isolated from its main population, which limits the gene flow and exposes them to a new environment, which cultivates the new qualities into them. The four pillars of insular evolution is mutation, natural selection, isolation, and environmental factors such as competition, resources, and predators. And due to insular evolution, we see various phenomena such as adaptive radiation in finches, endemism in Galapagos tortoise, loss of trait in Kiwi, and gigantism in Komodo. We will discuss each of them.
Now we are going to discuss adaptive radiation of finches, which is based on isolation and different food habits, which later leads to speciation. So what happens here? Okay, billions of years ago, some birds or finches decided to travel across the globe to Galapagos Island. And Galapagos Island is a collection of various small islands which has different isolated environments. And what happens here that those birds were distributed on these small islands and they adapt to their particular individual environment, which further make them different from each other. And each species has a different beak structure. Suppose those birds who rely on nuts has thicker beaks, and those who rely on insects has thinner beaks, and those who rely on cactus has longer beaks. So this is the insular evolution on finches, which is based on isolation and different environmental factors of food habits.
Now we are going to discuss about endemism in Galapagos tortoise. On Galapagos Island, we can see two kinds of geography, higher ones and the lower ones. The lower geography has humid air and cooler weather and lower vegetation, which means easy access to food. And on higher geography, the weather is warm, air is dry, and vegetation is higher, which means it is not inaccessible, but relatively harder to access food there. What we see on both of these geographies is that जो lower geography पे रहते हैं tortoise, उनकी neck shorter है और उनका जो shell structure है वो domed shape का है, और जो हायर पे रहते हैं वो सैडल शेप के होते हैं and their neck is relatively longer. So we can see that based on isolation and different food habits and different geography, we can
see two types of tortoise and two types of species forming there. This is again insular evolution that is happening on island. So now let's talk about Iceland gigantism in Komodo dragon. Komodo dragons are a marvel of animal diversity. They are 10 feet long and almost consist of 200 pounds. They have venomous bites. Their saliva have venom inside them. And they have special kind of reproductive technique too, that is parthenogenesis, in which female can clone themselves. Around 900,000 years ago, few Australian lizards were isolated on an island which has less predators and ecological competition and more resources, which later they utilized those resources throughout the year to become the beast of we know as Komodo dragons. So this is Iceland gigantism, insular evolution. Now we are going to discuss about loss of trait in kiwi. Kiwis are flightless nocturnal birds. The lost part of kiwi here is their wings, because they once on an island they were isolated from their main population. Their only goal was to survive on insects. For that they need beak, and on that island there were no predators. So there was no need to have wings. Throughout the insular process of evolution, these kiwis lost their ability to fly, but developed their ability to pick insects through the longer development of beaks. So this is the insular evolution in kiwis, which leads to loss of trait.